If you want to become wise, you must see the Bible as the manual for living. That's what I see it as. I see it as the Bible as this is a manual. This is instructions for how I should live my life. And all of the wisdom that I need is in this book. All the wisdom and all the knowledge you need is in that book. This knowledge and this wisdom gives you the right perspective on life. Personal knowledge and wisdom, the wisdom of God, gives you insight into your life. It gives you insight into what you should be doing. It gives you insight into how you should live your life. It gives you insight into how you should move day to day. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you how we should be growing in wisdom. You see, here's the problem. A lack of wisdom can lead to so many different challenges and difficulties in life. And here's the problem with when you have a lack of wisdom. You have bad decision making. You make bad decisions when you have a lack of wisdom. You make impulsive or ill-informed decisions when you have a lack of wisdom. The second thing is you don't learn from your mistakes. Because of you make a bad decision and then you have bad outcomes and you have bad experiences, and then the worst thing is you don't learn from your mistakes. You're not learning from your experiences and the mistakes that you made. And so without wisdom, many people repeat the same errors over and over, and this hinders their personal growth and development. The third thing is this: you lack emotional regulation. When you don't have wisdom and when you don't grow in wisdom, you don't have you don't know how to regulate your emotions. You can't regulate your emotions. You can't maintain an emotional balance. And without that, so many people struggle. And without the wisdom, so many people struggle with anger, with anxiety, with being impulsive and all those things. Here's another thing. You have your problem solving is ineffective. Like you don't know how to solve problems because of a lack of wisdom. You have no patience, no creativity, no perspective when you're trying to solve a problem. And so a lack of wisdom can result in having rigid thinking and coming up with limited solutions, or just avoiding challenges overall. Another problem is this: strained relationships. When you don't have wisdom, you lack empathy, you lack compassion, and you lack understanding. And without all those things, your relationships will suffer because you have poor communication skills. You know, when you have a lack of empathy and you act selfishly, that's going to strain your relationships. Another problem with not having wisdom is this: you fail to recognize your limits. When you don't have wisdom, you don't acknowledge your limitations and you don't seek help when needed. And so people who lack wisdom, they overestimate their abilities. They think that they can do things that they can't do. And so that leads to them being overconfident, and then they have these unrealistic expectations. And that all comes from a lack of wisdom. And then the last thing I'll say is this: the last problem is this: you're just closed-minded. When you don't have wisdom, you are closed-minded. You are closed-minded to the things that can help you. You are closed-minded to the things that God wants to do in your life. You're closed-minded to the people that God wants to bring in your life. You're closed-minded to all the solutions that could help you. You're closed-minded to all of that when you have a lack of wisdom. And so what I want to talk about today is there's just to let you know that there's nothing more valuable to our personal growth than wisdom. Proverbs 4:7 says this: get wisdom. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing that you can do. And whatever else you do, develop good judgment. And so just having a desire to get wisdom is wise. Just having a desire to want to seek wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. That's basically what it's saying. The wisest thing you can do is have a desire to seek wisdom. And if you want to seek wisdom, there's no other book to go to but the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is all about wisdom. It's all about wisdom. And so whenever you think about wisdom, of course, I knew where I was going to go for this content is directly to the book of Proverbs, because the book of Proverbs is the book of wisdom. And so in the book of Proverbs, this is Solomon is encouraging his son to listen to wisdom. And because nothing can compare to wisdom. I don't care what it is, nothing can compare to wisdom. And so, not money, not gifts, not talents, not any. Those things can't compare to wisdom, because even if you have the money, even if you have the gifts and the talents, if you don't have the wisdom, you're not going to know how to use those things. You're not going to know how to deploy your gifts and your talents and your money in the right way where it'll help you and it'll help others. And so wisdom is, there's nothing that compared to wisdom. So that means wisdom is supreme. It means it's well worth any effort that you can do to acquire more wisdom. It's worth all of that. Because wisdom is so valued and it's so loved that it gives honor, and it offers you an attractive life when you have wisdom. And see, the opposite is this. The opposite of that is being foolish. Like if you read the book of Proverbs, it always juxtaposes wisdom and foolish. Like it's always, it says a wise person does this, but on the other hand, a foolish person does this. And so it's always comparing those two things, because you, according to Proverbs, you're either wise or you're foolish. It's no in between. And so, when you're foolish, it's you end up living a dishonorable life. You end up living an unattractive life, a shameful life. And so, the writer of this book of Proverbs, Solomon, he experienced both of those things in his life. He experienced the wisdom, and then he experienced all of the foolishness later on in his life. And so he kind of speaks on that. And like I said, he experienced the wisdom, and that's what he writes about in Proverbs. And then he also experiences the foolishness, and he talks about that foolishness later on in his life in the book of Ecclesiastes. And so this is a person who experienced both of those things, right? And so this is the person that we can listen to. And matter of fact, Solomon was the wisest person who ever lived. It says that that he is the wisest person who ever lived. He's also the richest person who has ever lived. And so if you want to learn about wisdom, you got to listen to Solomon and read the book of Proverbs. And so, like I was saying, wisdom is valuable. It's so valuable. And it's also continuous. You want to continuously seek wisdom. There's a saying about leaders. Leaders are learners. Leaders are learners, and they never stop learning. I'll take you to another script, another verse. Proverbs 9:9 says, "Instruct the wise, and they will be even wiser. Teach the righteous, and they will learn even more." And so the more that a wise person learns, the more that they love to learn, the more that they love wisdom. The more that they learn, the more that they want to learn. And I find this is true of myself. The more that I learn, it just feeds that hunger for me to learn even more and more and more. And I've said it before. The more I learn, the more I understand that there's so much more to learn. Okay, now let me tell you what a wise person is. Because you may be thinking that a wise person is somebody who, knows everything. That's not the case. Actually, a wise person is not necessarily someone who knows everything. In fact, a wise person understands that they don't know everything. That's what makes them wise. And that's what you have to understand. You have to understand. You got to get this. You got to understand this, and you got to understand this concept. The wisest thing that you can ever do is realize that you don't know everything. That's the wisest thing you can do, because it makes you humble. It makes you teachable. It makes you willing to learn, because the hardest thing to do is to teach a man something that they think they already know. That is the hardest thing to do. And a lot of people think that they already know, but none of us know everything. And so a wise person actually understands that they don't know everything. And so what they do, they continue to seek wisdom. I'm telling you, I'm going to use a lot of verses in Proverbs because it's the book of wisdom. Proverbs 3:13 says, "Joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding." Now, it says joyful, meaning this person is happy. They're happy when they find wisdom. Like when you find wisdom and you found wisdom, you should be happy. And so, but I want to talk about I want to break it down. It says joyful is the person who finds wisdom. And that word finds in the context, in the original language, it means the person who reaches after it, the person who obtains it. And so finds means reaching. It's not necessarily find meaning that the wisdom just found them. No, it means that they reached after it. They went after it. They did things to go and find the wisdom, and because of that, they gain the wisdom. So it's something required of you. You're not just going to sit at home. You're not just going to sit there and do nothing and gain wisdom. When it says finds wisdom, it means that you have to go looking for it. You have to seek it out. You have to seek out the wisdom, because that's the only way you're going to find it. And then it says the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. And that means it literally means to draw out. It means to draw out the wisdom. And so again, the joyful person who finds wisdom is the one who gains understanding, because they and like I said, joyful, and they're joyful because wisdom brings happiness. It brings joy. Something that money does not bring. Money does not bring genuine happiness. Wisdom's value far exceeds money's worth, because like I said, wisdom is the thing that's going to allow you to get the money, right? The wisdom is the number one thing that allows you to get the money, because a fool can't get no money. Or if a fool does get money, he's going to end up losing it all anyway. So at some point, even if you're a fool and his money will soon part ways, right? And so don't think that you can be a fool and just get money. You may be able to, but I don't know how long it's going to last. And so we should be willing to prioritize wisdom over money or any other thing. We should be willing to prioritize that, because I believe that the money will come when you go after wisdom first. I believe the money will come, because if you get the money before you get the wisdom, you're going to lose the money. You're either going to lose the money, or you're not going to do what the money won't be. You won't use it in a manner to which it's going to help other people, or it's going to help you. It's either going to ruin you or ruin other people. That's what's going to happen when you don't have the wisdom. And so you got to be willing to prioritize wisdom and be willing to sacrifice everything else for wisdom. And so where does wisdom come from? Wisdom begins with God. Proverbs 9:10 says, fear of the Lord is the foundation of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One results in good judgment. Now, what does this mean? It means that wisdom only comes from understanding and obeying the Bible, and understanding and obeying God. Understanding the Bible and obeying the Bible, and understanding and obeying the God of the Bible. That's where we start when we think about wisdom. I know there's all these other things. I know there's books, there's classes, there's courses, all these things. And I recommend all those things. I encourage you to do all those things. I encourage you to go to whatever workshops and whatever conferences. I encourage you to go to seminars. I encourage you to listen to podcasts. I encourage you to do all those things. But I want you to know that the source of all wisdom is God. God is the source of all wisdom. Because here's the thing, the people in the world can use God's principles and succeed. Even if they don't acknowledge God, if you use his principles, you can still succeed. I'm not encouraging that. I'm not encouraging anyone to use God's principles and just dismiss God. I don't condone that. I don't encourage that. But I believe it's true that even if you don't know God, even if you don't worship God, you can still use his principles and succeed, because they're principles. Principles are true regardless of who uses them. It doesn't matter. And that's why the Bible said that God is no respecter of persons, right? And so if you use his principles, you're going to succeed. That's just the way it is. Now, I don't know what's going to happen later on at some point when you don't eventually acknowledge God. I can't tell you what's going to happen. Well, I do know what's going to happen, but I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that. So I'll just leave that at that. And so if you want to become wise, you must see the Bible as the manual for living. That's what I see it as. I see it as the Bible as this is a manual. This is instructions for how I should live my life. And all of the wisdom that I need is in this book. It's in this book. And so, and all the wisdom and all the knowledge you need is in that book. And so this knowledge and this wisdom gives you the right perspective on life. You see, personal knowledge and wisdom, the wisdom of God, gives you insight into your life. It gives you insight into what you should be doing. It gives you insight into how you should live your life. It gives you insight into how you should move day to day and your purpose in life. It gives you all of that. It gives you insight. And so I definitely encourage you to not only read the book of Proverbs, but to read the whole Bible, because it is the manual for life. And you can also pray to God and ask God for wisdom. You ask him for wisdom, and then you ask him, and more oftentimes than not, when he gives you wisdom, it is going to come through you praying for wisdom, but you will get the wisdom that you seek when you read his word, because he will speak to you through his word. He'll also speak to you in other areas. He'll speak to you in other ways. He'll speak to you through people. He'll speak to you there's other ways he can speak to you, but most of all, he will speak to you through his word. And the last thing is this. We can grow in wisdom by choosing the right friends to hang around, by choosing the right people, by choosing our circle is going to determine how much wisdom we get. Our circle of influence, the people you hang around. You can grow in wisdom based on the people you hang around, or vice versa. You can become a fool based on the people you hang around. And so wisdom is also relational. It's also has this relational component, because there's a saying that says you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. And so wisdom, you can grow in your wisdom by choosing the right friends, the right people that you hang around, the right people that you do life with, the right people that you let speak into your life, the right people that you listen to. You can choose the right people, and you can choose to grow in wisdom by doing just that. If you get around to certain people in your life, it'll always take you higher. If you get around people who have wisdom in different areas of their life, it'll take you higher. If you get around people who have wisdom in making money, your finances will increase. If you get around people who have wisdom in relationships, your relational IQ will increase. And whatever other area, if you get around other people who have a lot of wisdom in business, your business will grow and your business will increase. Your business acumen, your business knowledge will grow and increase. And so who you hang around is crucial, because Proverbs 13:20 says this. It says, walk with the wise and become wise, but associate with fools and get in trouble. And so, like I said, you can become wise by choosing to associate yourself with the right people. And on the other hand, if you associate with the wrong people, you associate with fools, it brings problems and trouble into your life. And so the influence of good and bad associations is something that you want to pay attention to. You want to make sure that you are doing your best to be around people who have character and people who have wisdom. Because when you walk with the wise, you become wise, right? And then other people will walk with you and they will become wise. And it just goes on and on. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about wisdom and growing in wisdom, because growing in wisdom is probably one of the most important things you can do for your personal development, for your growth, growing in wisdom. And all this is coming from our base, the base scripture that I said in the last video, Luke 2:52, where it says Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. And so I just want to leave you with this today. Is just continue to grow in wisdom. Seek out wisdom. Like I said, just seeking out wisdom, just going after wisdom is the wisest thing that you could do. If the wisest thing that you can do is just put yourself in a position to go after wisdom and seek wisdom and find wisdom. That is the wisest thing you can do. And so that's what I want to talk about today, is wisdom. And so if you like this, please like it and share it with somebody who you know will benefit from it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can get all these videos whenever I release them. So at the end of the day, we want to be growing. We want to be growing in wisdom. And in order to do that, you got to keep a growth state of mind.